Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today is the next video in a series of looking back at the eyeshadow looks I was doing a year ago, pretty much when I first started getting into eyeshadow, and then recreating them using my current skills. Today's video also counts as a monochrome Monday because, as you can tell, this is a fully blue look. If you're new to my channel, hi there, my name's Rachel. I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom, and I love to play with colorful eyeshadow. So if you would like to see lots of colorful content on your timeline, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing. I upload about 3 videos a week. Okay, so to recreate the look from last May, I'm going to use exclusively the Blue Moon palette from ColourPop. This is a really great blue palette. If you like blue eyeshadow and you want good quality and a nice variety of shades and color ranges and formula, I very highly recommend this palette. It's really good. I'm going to prime my eyes using the NYX primer in the shade White. Usually I use a Glam Light primer, but I don't find that I have as many creasing issues with ColourPop's formula. Possibly because it's not quite as creamy as a lot of other formulas that I have. It's a little bit more powdery, and so I generally use those other formulas with the Glam Light primer because that primer is really great for creasing. But I have this primer, so I'm trying to use it up. So whenever I use ColourPop, then I use this primer. And I put too much, but that's okay, because I'll just take my time and work it in. There, now I look like a little raccoon. When I look at this inspiration picture, it's a pretty standard blue eyeshadow look. I think I did a little bit of a darker crease and then a light shimmer on the lid. So today's look is going to be a bit more dynamic than that, but it's still very much inspired by my original inspiration picture. So first I'm going to start with a medium blending brush like this one, and I'm going to take the shade Moonlight. I like this palette. It has such a nice variety of light, mid, and dark tones. And each of the blues bring something different to the palette, like different shades and tones of blue. And it's just a really pretty palette. I'm kind of using this as a transition color, so I'm mainly keeping it in my crease and then buffing it up and out towards the brow bone. ColourPop is a very flexible formula where you could start with the darkest and work lighter, or you can also start with the lighter and work darker, which is what I tend to do, or at least tend to prefer to do. But because it's a more powdery formula, the shadows really move around a lot when you're blending them. They blend really easily. This can be good and it can be not so good because sometimes they move around too much where you want them to stay in one spot, but they sort of blend out everywhere. I guess some of that depends on what brush you end up using, but compare that to, for example, the Odin's Eye formula or my Melt Cosmetics Amor de Mariposas palette, where with both of those formulas I need to place them where I want them to stay, and then they don't really move from there. I just buff out the edges and that's it. It's a totally different technique, and it can be frustrating when you're first trying out a new formula but you've been used to something that's quite different. Like I started with ColourPop, and then when I moved to BH Cosmetics it was close enough that it wasn't an issue, but then when I tried Odin's Eye, which I think was the next brand that I tried, I was a little frustrated at first because I wasn't able to get the same kind of results right away, and I didn't understand why. I just figured that technique would work across the board, but it doesn't, because different formulas require different techniques. When I use Beauty Bay, I have to work dark to light because the dark mattes don't build upon one another. When I use Odin's Eye or Melt, I have to place the color as opposed to blending the color, and I have to use these little short calculated strokes. When I use ColourPop, it's a lot more of a, place down a whole wash and you're good to go. So it's just a matter of learning how different brands have formulated their product and figuring it out for yourself and working with it. I really want to grab the shade Fine China now. This is a really beautiful, like perfect blue shade. I've got a blending eye brush from e.l.f., just a round tipped and a little bit stubby and not super fluffy. Dipping into Fine China, and I'm going to place this in my outer corner and work it in the crease towards the bridge of the nose, but not too deep. I do want to place one more color on top of this to go even deeper, so I need to cover up enough of the eyelid space so that I can add in an additional shade, but not cover up so much that it overwhelms the look. I'm going to take a smaller and pinched blending brush and go back into Moonlight, and I'm going to drag this on the lower lash line. I think I'm going to carry it about 2/3 of the way on my lower lash line because it's a really pretty bright and also light toned blue, so on my skin tones this will look pretty even if I go closer to the bridge of the nose or the inner corner. Then I'll take a smudger brush and go back into Fine China, which is that darker blue I've used, place that about 1/3 of the outer corner lower lash line. I love how smoky that is. It's so pretty. And now I want to deepen up the outer corner a little bit more, so I'm going to take a small blending brush and take the shade Clued In. Clued In is the darkest blue matte. Well, they're all blue. Everything in this, it's a monochromatic palette. It's the darkest matte. And I'm going to use Clued In just at the outer corner. I do not want to cover up too much of the other shades here. I just want to deepen up the very outer corner. So what I do here is I start at the outer corner and then I drag it down to the lash line, because then if I do a winged eyeliner or something, it's all just continuing deeper and deeper out into, basically it'll look kind of like blackness. So I make sure that that darkest shade always connects to the lash line, and then I usually fan it up a bit into the crease as well. Back into my smudger brush, I'm also taking Clued In into the very extreme part of the outer lower lash line to bring that dark, dark blue into the lower lashes as well. But again, not very much, just a little bit. I love the gradient. I love how it goes from light to dark and it just stays all in one color, but it's so smoky and moody. I haven't done only blue in a while. And I haven't actually used this palette in a while. I keep this palette because it's a really, really good blue palette. So anytime I want to use blue and I'm not thinking of another palette and combining other colors, I automatically think the Blue Moon palette from ColourPop. With my original blending brush, I'm just sort of working at these edges really, really lightly and softening everything from the outer edges here to the outer corner, and then also onto the lid space. Just softening it all together. I think that's so pretty. I'm really, really enjoying that. Now it's time for shimmer. There are two lighter tone shimmers in this palette. We've got Lumi, which is a very light blue iridescent sort of shade. I'll probably use it as an inner corner, but I find that with other shadows, it looks a little bit more like a topper because it's such a light color. You would get a good result if you were to cut your crease and then put Lumi on top of just the concealer or whatever, because then it would brighten up a bit, but I like it as a topper or an inner corner shade. Then there's the shade Billie Jean, which is like a denim shimmer. And then we've got two other shimmers. One is called Tide Pool, which is an electric blue shimmer. And then the fourth one is called Mad About You, and it's basically a navy shimmer. I don't think I hardly ever use that one. For today's look, I'm going to take Billie Jean. Honestly, I think I might use the first three. I'm going to start by taking Billie Jean on a flat C brush. I want this on most of my lid space. So I'm dipping into the pan and then I'll grab my setting spray and spray the brush. I mean, we're going all in today, right? It's a blue monochromatic look. So here's Billie Jean on my brush. I'm gonna start off at the center of my lid and work it towards the mattes in the outer third and work it towards the inner corner. But I'm not gonna go fully to the inner corner because I definitely do want that Lumi shade to be there. And if I wanted to brighten up this Billie Jean shade, I could put Lumi on the inner corner and just carry it on top of Billie Jean. It wouldn't transform the shade, it would just brighten it a bit. So, I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably not do that. I'll probably just keep Billie Jean here. And then I'm gonna flip over my brush and use this to get the Lumi shade. If your brush is dirty on both sides, then just color switch it or wipe it on a rag or something. Lumi I will place at the inner corner. I may dip into another palette to get a white inner corner. I probably will. I love a white inner corner. I love a matte inner corner highlight, and I have one in mind that will probably be perfect. Anyway, I'm placing Lumi down at the inner corner and then dragging it on top, like to meet Billie Jean, but I'm not going to overlap them too much. And then just for kicks, because this is a monochromatic blue look, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to grab the shade Tide Pool, this beautiful electric blue shimmer, and I'm going to place that right where Billie Jean meets the mattes. You'll see this pretty color right here. Generally, I apply ColourPop shimmers with my finger. The reason I didn't do the first two with my finger is because I forgot. Because I haven't actually used ColourPop in a little while, and I use a brush for every other brand shimmers that I have. But ColourPop shimmers do apply very nicely with the finger. So on the other eye, maybe I'll use my finger and see if it turns out a bit brighter. But that's pretty. Just go back and forth and work those shades together. I don't have any additional product on the brush, it's just whatever was there. So I'll drag Billie Jean over to meet the Tide Pool shade, and then I'll drag Lumi over to Billie Jean, and everything just eventually meshes together. If you're following along and you don't have any other palettes, then just stay within the Blue Moon and take the Lumi shade and carry it all the way from the inner corner down to the lower lash line. I'm gonna amp my look up just a little bit by taking the Lost in Los Angeles palette from BH Cosmetics. Right here is the shade called The Abbey. It is a fantastic white matte. You see my blue broke? It just fell out one day. I found it on my carpet in one solid piece, and I was like, ooh, scoop it up carefully. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna take a small pencil brush, grab the Abbey shade, this white matte. This I wanna place as a foundation. I might put Lumi on top of it, but I wanna put this at the inner corner right here. See, isn't that amazing? And then I'm also gonna drag it down onto the lower lash line to meet the dark blues that I laid down before. I like to use short strokes when I use this pastel palette from BH Cosmetics, because if I use like larger strokes, I tend to get the powder spray up into my eye, like it just poof into my eye, and that's not very comfortable. These shades are a bit more powdery than my other BH palettes. I think it's probably because of the pastel element, but that's nice, right? So now that's a foundation for me to take Lumi again. I'll grab a small pencil brush because I want to make sure the shade stays controlled. Taking Lumi on that brush, and I will spray it because I want it to be a little bit more pigmented or impactful maybe. And now I'm going to put that on the inner corner, on top of, basically on top of everywhere I laid down the white. But the white as a base is really going to brighten up this shade even more. Okay, so there you go. That's the look. I'm going to do a light blue eyeliner to tightline the waterline, go off camera and finish on my other side, and then I'll be back to show you how it all turned out. All right, here's the finished look. I love it. I love how smoky and moody it is. To finish it off, I did the blue eyeliner on my waterline, and then I did a winged out eyeliner on the upper lash line, obviously, and some mascara. And then I put a little bit of highlighter on my cheeks. I started off with what I thought was white, but it actually has like white with a little bit of pink to it. And then I took the Lumi shade from the Blue Moon palette, and I put that on top of the highlighter that I had already placed down. So now my highlighter is sort of like a pinky blue, sort of iridescent, and I think it's pretty. On my lips, I'm wearing the shade Showering Sunset from Burt's Bees Tinted Lip Oil, and that is everything. I think it's really pretty. I like it. I was totally inspired by my look last year, except this time I think is much better. And I just love to see the progression of, you know, you work at something and you work and you practice and you get better. And that's very satisfying and very fulfilling. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more. And until I see you again, hope you have a great day. Bye.